So welcome everybody to this new EKKONO Coaches Academy webinar. Today is session 0 of the Advanced Training Methodology course. As I said, today's is the session 0 for the training methodology course. And we have with us Fran Rubio, who will be explaining the importance of a good training context. Welcome, Fran.
Hello, everybody. Thank you.
As always, I encourage everybody to stay until the end, that we have a small surprise. It's a discount, I can tell you, for next week's webinar. That will be session 1 of the Advanced Training Methodology course. And there we will be talking about the key types of really important types of exercises that you can use in specialization and performance. So lots of interesting content about methodology. I will leave you now with Fran. As always, if you have questions, you can ask them and we will answer them at the end.
Okay, thank you, Enrique, and welcome everybody. Today, the objective is to talk about the importance of a good training context. We're going to discuss about this idea. As Enrique said, today is the session 0, so today we're going to discuss about this detail that for me is the most important thing, the first step in order to create a really good training drill. But during the course, we're going to discuss the objective of the course is to be an expert in the designing of a training drills, which are all the steps. Today we're going to see one of the most important things, like is the step 1, the importance of the training context and what is that idea. But to generate good training drills, there are a lot of small details that we need to manage if we want to be experts. At the end, as a coaches, we have a lot of influence in our players if we manage two things. One is the analysis of the game, understand what is happening, and understand how we can improve the team, which are the contents, the principles, etc. This is one part. And another part is how we design drills in order to work this idea. So if there's not a clear connection between what we train and what we want to train, then we have a problem. So in this course, we're going to try to help you to be experts in this second part, in how we create drills in order to work what we want to work. And also we're going to introduce more ideas about how to manage information during the training, how to manage the staff, and how a little bit of management that is involved in methodology part. Okay, but today we're going to put the focus in this idea of the importance of a good training context. And at the end is, I would like to start with a question for you guys: is which is a good training drill? Just think 30 seconds. If you think, okay, today I want to create a good training drill. Yeah, okay, perfect. But what is a good training drill? Okay. It's not necessary to answer, but for me, a good training drill is a context that you're going to generate in order to give the possibility to your player to learn something, and to learn something that then he can use in competition. At the end, we are training to do things in competition. We are training to improve and be better in competition. So for me, this is a good training drill, a context where your player can learn something. And what we need a lot of things. So we need a lot of steps, okay? But the first one is this idea of training context. Which concepts I want to work, in which game situation, in which game context. Okay, so we're going to try to understand what is the meaning of training context. And in the other sessions, you will go through all the other details and more. Okay, but today we're going to put the focus on that. At the end, as I said, coach, must be an expert in this. If we have two big areas in the influence of course, if you say Fran, but management also is super important, of course. But it's not about the game. It's about the management abilities, like how you your relation with the players, your relation with the media, your relation with everybody. This is not about the game. It's not necessary to know about the game in order to be a good manager. But if we talk about the game, where as a first coach or as a head coach, even as assistant coach, where we can influence more to our players, how we can help them more in two ways: with the analysis and help them with the contents. You need to improve this, the team need to improve this, with the training. So as a coach, we must be expert in designing exercise. If you are not an expert, I'm not going to say you cannot be a coach, but it's like something is missing, because it's a really big part where you can help your players. So coach must be expert in designing exercises to create an optimal learning context that will allow to improve the content and concepts of the game. Okay, so the reality, bring the reality, cut the reality, and go to the drill. This is something really important. Analysis. What I need to improve? Okay, I need to improve the build-up. Perfect. In which situation? We have problems in which situation? Or I want to work the support in which situation to improve the build-up? Or not, I want to work the medium block. Okay, the strikers in defense. Okay, in which situation? Because at the end, if I'm able to recreate a real context, I'm not talking if it's not real, a specific context. And I'm not talking if I'm working global or more analytic. I'm talking to try to create something where the player learn something that is going to help him to be better player during the competition. Okay? And that can be analytical, like we're going to talk next day, or can be more global. Of course, as more real is the situation, more specific, and if you learn something, better for your player, because we'll be closer to do it in competition. In order to understand a little bit more about this idea of context, a couple of ideas in why it's difficult to train, or why it is why it's difficult mainly to create a really good context in every single training, in every single drill. The first thing is as a coach, we need to control a lot of things. Okay, it's not easy. It's not a thing that, okay, I see one drill and I copy the drill, because probably you're going to lose a lot of things that the coach that thought this drill was thinking on. And probably this drill is not going to be useful for your team, because you are not thinking in the level, you are not thinking in the number of players, you are not thinking in the relations between the players. There are a lot of small details that is important to know as a coach. So you have to prepare yourself in order to know these small details. For sure, if you want to do it, everybody can do it. The second thing is the training load. At the end, if I want to reproduce, like how to create a build-up, how to improve the build-up, I can go to the training, do 11 versus 11, and the objective is do a build-up here and score, like in the game. Yeah, but how many times we can do this without load too much the players? In other sports, they don't have this problem. In handball or in basket, they can train almost 5 versus 5 all the day, because the distance allow to do that. So they can train really, really specifically all the day. In football, we cannot do that. So we have to think in drills that are the more specific possible, but we have to take care of the load, because if not, we're going to injure our players. And that's a big problem. nowadays in all the categories. Today I was talking with one expert in football, and he told me now there's a problem of injury in all the categories. Probably because the trains are specific and maybe the load for the players is too all to manage. So we have to take care of this specific context, but be careful with the type of load. And if I'm working some aspects of the game and my drill is too specific or too real, or I'm doing 11 versus 11, probably the number of times that this situation is happening is low. So I need to know some mechanisms, some strategies, some tools in order to respect the reality of the game or the specificity of the game, respect the load, understand ideas in order to generate what I want to create. As I said at the beginning, is not easy to control. Okay, but in other way, after years and time, my experience says that if you coach, you want to do it, you can do it, 100% sure. You will be Guardiola, or maybe I don't know if Guardiola is 10 in exercise, but you can be excellent or you can be normal, but for sure you can learn a lot. And at the end, the consequence is better players, better game during the competition. Some characteristics, what we need to think about what is a good training context. The first one, space. The ideal situation, what is? To have all the field for us. This is the ideal situation. So I want to work something about support with my team. For example, I want to work how to move the support to surpass. I'm going to put an example. For example, with one training with Paris Saint-Germain, I want to work how to support in order to surpass. Okay, and I'm creating situation 3 versus 2, but where? 3 versus 2, they are working striker, winger, and the advanced midfielder with the ball. So we are working in spaces, but I'm not taking this space and I'm doing if it's possible, because I want to work this in the last part of the field. I'm not doing this drill and the same space, like 10 meters here, 20 here, and then I'm trying to do this in the middle of the field, for example, or here. So one goal here, one goal here. If it's possible, I'm doing this drill in the real scenario where the situation is going to happen. So I can work movements. The players are going to have the same distance regarding to the goalkeeper that happened in the reality, etc., etc. Okay, so of course, for example, here there's a clear mistake. For example, this is a good example. This is a clear mistake. Of who? Of the winger. He's still open, but his fullback did this to close and follow the movement of the striker. So automatically he should do the same and reduce the width, because now if he receives, the angle and the time is much better than if he's still here. Why? Because while the ball is arriving, the defender has time to catch him. He reduced the width, then first touch and shoot. So if this player understand this in this scenario, this really is really real. It's really specific, because the space happen in the same situation that the game. So if I'm attacking a low block or I'm attacking in transition, I have a 3 versus 2, and you are the winger and you learn this here in the game, probably you're going to do the same, because the spaces, the distance with the goalkeeper, the distance with the box, give you this training context, this learning training context. If you do the same like this, probably it's the same drill. It's 3 versus 2 with the goalkeeper here. Yeah, but the lines is not the same, the distance of the game is not the same, etc. Then, really important, the tactical intention. So, why I want to do, which is my objective in this space. In this space, I want to do this support in order to do what? So there's a clear relation between where I'm playing this with the tactical intention of there's behind my what I want to do. I mean, for example, if I want to work 1 versus 1 in defense, okay, 1 versus 1 in defense, inside the box or double box, for example, really typical drill, 2 versus 2 to work how to defend. If I'm doing this and I'm putting the focus in these players, in these two, here have to be that my defending, my track, the priority is to defend the ball. To defend the ball. My tactical intention is not defend the space, because if we are close to the box and I'm defending the space, so I'm giving time to think, he can shoot. Why? Because we are really close to the box. But if the same we are doing in this part of the field, it's totally different. Now the priority, depending the situation, can be the space, or depending the situation, can be the ball. Inside the box, always will be the ball. So the tactical intention, what I want to do with my content, what I want to do with the idea to defend 1 versus 1 is totally different. If I'm protecting the space, so the idea to don't be surpassed as a priority, or the ball, don't let him think, don't let him shoot. It's totally different. So every training, every drill, which is the tactical intention, what I have in attack or in defense. Density, also in relation with the game space. We have to do a picture of the situation. How many players normally are playing in this space? Normally what we are doing as a coaches, we are putting a lot of players in a small spaces, okay? And we have to try to, at the end, especially in performance, when the players are necessary to do a big sprints, like long distance, you're going to reduce a lot the injuries. But still, it's not the same to play 3 versus 3 in this space, that for example can be central back, fullback, midfielder, than 3 versus 3 in this space. The density in one space is not probably, depending the content, but probably is not the good one. Here, if you put 3 defenders, now you add 1 joker or 2 jokers, then the distance that they have to run, the distance from where the pressing is going to come, the possibility to turn. So respect the distance, I respect the density, is respect the specificity of the game. Of course, again, how you respect the density for sure, doing 11 versus 11. We can do it this every time. As I said, no. So we need to think in our drills how we can manage. And regular action happen during the game, so we are looking for also, if you take care of where is happening the action, the tactical situation of the tactical intention of the action, the density where the situation is happening, at the end you have a regular action that happens during the game. So you are reproducing, or you are trying to reproduce something that is going to happen a lot during the game. So in our training context, we are looking for this. Okay, at the end is this objective. Reproduce something that is happening in the game. How we're going to get all these ideas? Of course, with the number of players, where we are playing, the space is bigger, is width, is if we recover the ball, for example, we are playing one space. If we lose in the ball, we are playing in another one. So we can play with the width, we can play with the depth, we can play with the position of the drill, we can play with how we start the drill. There are a lot of small details, as I said at the beginning, that are going to help us to do this. For example, what question for you is not necessary to answer, but just to think. Which situation are you seeing here? Which is the situation here? The yellow team is playing that direction, okay? For example, this is the midfielder, this is the fullback, and this is the advanced midfielder, okay? Which situation we have here? Just to think, 30 seconds. Then, in my opinion, it's a clear third player idea. Third man, third woman, how you want to say. Triangle, yeah, they are in triangle, but the concept is pass here to pass there. So this is a typical, or not typical, really important concept in build-up, right? To read well when it's important to find the third player, to find the free player. Okay, when the situation happens, we stop the action. Stop, boom. Then what we can see here? We can see, now I ask you, what you can see here? You see one, say, triangle, one coach. What else? I give you 30 seconds. What you see here in this picture? More than create a space. Yeah, one coach is saying occupying the space, build up. Okay, you are, but you are understanding. I mean, something simple. I mean, okay, we are in build up, good in the space of the build up or positional attack, perfect. There, one player is saying Freeman, for example, to work the third man or the third player, the third woman, we need a free player. It's something simple, but it's essential. If we want to work the third player and there's not a free player, it's a concept that we cannot work. We can work other things, but if there's not at least one player that is free, we cannot work. So what we can see in this picture, at least a 3 versus 2. If you want, you can add another one and another one. So 4 versus 5, 5 versus 5. But for sure, you have to do something in your drill that allows to find the free player. So if we go to thing in the drill, we have a lot of possibilities, But if we think now in the space, tactical intention, number of players, regular, now we have the third player exercise. What we should think, how big should be the space to work this idea? Which is the best density for my exercise? Another question that I should do. Why is important to use the third player principle? So the players have to understand when and why. Why is important? Then when is important? How I'm going to do that, but especially why is important, which is the tactical intention of to use this. And what happened if the team is able to find this, to do it well. This is really important, which is the consequence in the game. Perfect. We go and we do the analysis. We cut the real situation and we find a structure that is something similar. We can do this in a ball possession, for example. Ball possession. This player is jumping. We can find the free player here. Now, this player is jumping. Who is the free player? This player. Why? Because there are 4 spaces, there are 3 defenders, and depending the level you have, you can do it with 1 joker or with 1 joker or with 2 jokers. So this is a drill that I like a lot. I always, when I'm doing free formations for coaches, I like to show. It's super simple, but the players are learning. Who is jumping? Who is the free player? It's really simple. 4 spaces, 3 defenders, and you can put the rule like the defender, only 1 defender can jump at the same time. So at the end, always there are someone that is free and the players have to think. Okay, and these players are not incredible in terms of technique, but they are good enough to think. Where is the free player? Where I have to bring the ball? I can pass direct. No, all these aspects that the players in the reality should understand. Is enough? If the players do well, the third player here will be enough? No, of course not, because this training context is still, we can say, is not the more specific possible that we can create. How I know this? That's something that we will learn during the course. But of course, if we talk about the space, if we talk about the direction of the game, it's not so real. But for example, a good one evolution of this game, if we are talking about under 12, why not this drill? We are normally under 12 is 7 versus 7, 8 versus 8, but I'm creating a drill where is in normally we have half field of football 7. So why not we are playing 5 versus 5, but there's a zone where this player cannot, the defender cannot go. Okay? So if this player is jumping, now what we need? Find the third player. And now he can progress with the ball. Now another player is jumping. What we need? Find the third player. And put the ball here, or if you want, you can put a goal here. And you can say, to score, only we can score from the last zone. And both teams are doing the same. Both teams are doing the same. You put a zone, this player cannot go inside this zone, so they can use this player as the player is going to find the free player. So he's jumping, we find the free player, we go to the next zone. Maybe he's jumping or not. Just you go, because he's not jumping, you can shoot or you can go inside, depending. But this can be a really good evolution. If the player knows to do something or to do well the third player and read the third player, means that he is going to do perfect. No, perfect not, but there's the possibility that this connection or what he learned here easier is going to happen here. And if the player learns something or learn the third player here, it's going to be easier to do it in competition for sure. Why? Because the space is similar, the density is similar. The only thing is we are creating something in order to create a more suitable context for them. It's going to be closer, but it's going to be perfect. No, because it still is not real. Still is not real, or is not 100% real. But we are doing steps towards the reality. Okay, and this is something that as a coaches we have to control in all the ages. How we do steps towards the reality, how we are able to make our players learn something from more unspecific drills where the load is not so incredible. And this evolution, for example, can be for a performance team. It's not, of course, we have to adapt things, but the evolution of not too many load. Of course, then in performance, we have to take care of the day, which days we can load more, less, etc. Maybe under 12 is something is not so important, the load, still. Okay. And then we're going to finish with this idea. Okay, because perfect. To train well, we need a really training context. But we cannot forget about the planning and the age of content. So what the player should learn in each moment. Because, okay, Fran, you said as more real context we can create, better, of course. But you have to think that every game context, we can say, every game situation, we can solve from different contents, from different tactical intentions, from different approaches. So the same situation, we can solve it playing long or doing 1-2. It's the same situation, but maybe now we're going to see the example. What I want to say. It's really important, this idea, like we have to take in consideration the game situation, and we cannot confuse that what Guardiola is doing is good for 1 under 12. Maybe not. Which are the contents for 1 under 12? So the game situation can be similar, but how we should solve it should be different. Okay, so the training context that we can create can be similar, but how we solve the situation should be different. That's really important. One example. Now we are in 1 under 12 that they are receiving individual pressing. Okay? That's happened a lot. What they should do if this player is jumping? In terms of performance, probably look for far solutions, create spaces, play, or go for the target if you have a big player here. This is the content this player should learn in these ages. Probably not, because these ages are really important to work this type of ideas. Third player, anticipation, pass with advantage to the teammate, timing of the support and passing, solutions when the ball is rolling, so perception, which are the solutions, fake in the first touch. But the best solution probably is play here, do this, and you surpass. Or you have a big one, touch the ball, this player is running, and we surpass, because this is really dangerous for the opponent team. What happens if you do 10 times this with 1 under 12 and you try to solve with third player ideas and now driving, blah, blah, blah? That if they press really hard and you have a normal goalkeeper, from 10 times, maybe 2, this player is going to lose the ball. This pass is not going to be perfect. This pass is not going to be perfect. This first touch is not going to be good. Probably 2 times, 3 times, you're going to lose the ball and they're going to receive a goal. But the result is important when they are 12, or which ideas are important. Now, the same situation. First team, we are Manchester City, one of the teams that play more combinative from the back. Yeah, but we play against Real Madrid, they are doing 11 versus 11. Sometimes, because last year Real Madrid was here defending all the time in the second game. But one of the games in Bernabeu, Ancelotti was defending that way. What Guardiola did a lot in that game. this. They were jumping man-man. Okay, you go man-man. I create a situation where I have 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, plus players that are arriving. So the 11 versus 11, I can simplify in situations of 2-2 with the goalkeeper I have and with the strikers I have. Now, in this situation, the danger is incredible. In this situation, build up. Now the goalkeeper is going. I have to put the ball here, blah, blah, blah. The danger is big. Maybe the benefit is low. Depending the game and with depending the players I have, I can look for another characteristic. So I can use play to target, create an space, ensure the second ball zones. Another concepts, of course, if you are a team that, no, I want to play. Okay, you want to play. But there's a really important concept in that moment. It's like, you want to play, perfect. And the goalkeeper, I want to make him to or her to play inside. Yeah, but which is the distance with the players here? Because if this player, the defender, is less than 1 meter, okay, he's jumping here, and you want to find him, this is too risky. Too risky. Because less than 1 meter allow him to put the leg, and it's too risky. So, or we teach them to fake and go, or if he is in less than 1 meter, is open the position, open the angle to the next one. And now, if you play here and we lose the ball here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players to defend. It's not the same that if you lose the ball here, that only you have 2 with the other attackers ready to score. Okay, so, okay, you want to take the risk. Okay, perfect. I like. But then you have to teach the goalkeeper and the midfielders here to read this concept. Okay. But the same training context that we can create is a build-up, man-man, for example. The same game situation that at the end can do a similar game training context. The solution of this is really different depending the age. And this is something really important, okay, that I don't want to, okay, as I said, number 1, training context, perfect. But we cannot forget which is important to learn in this age. So when we talk about methodology and we talk about how we're going to train, as I said at the beginning, we cannot forget which are the concepts I want to work. So I have to be really good in the analysis, but also I have to be really good in planning. Or you are performance coach, then you have to train what is best to performance for your team. But if you are 1 under 12, 15, 16, 17, it's really important to understand, okay, for this age, which are the most important content that my players have to learn? Because then this relation, training context, drills, planning will be suitable for your players to learn things that are important in each age. Okay, so I think first step done. Enrique, I don't know if now there's any questions.
Thank you, Fran. Perhaps exactly. If there's any questions, you guys can write them in the chat or the Q&A section, and we will be answering them very soon. Perfect. I think we have some questions. So at which age it is recommended to start with the possession game 4 versus 3 plus 1 joker in the middle with the purpose of finding free men?
If it's third player, if it's this idea, it's 3 versus 3 plus 2 jokers. But if you are talking about this drill, we can say 11, 12, 10, depending the level of the players, depending the content at the end is like, because this drill can be also interesting just to find a line pass. Okay, each player have to find a line pass. Find a line pass is a simple concept of support positioning, but really important. So you cannot say any rule for the defender, they can go whatever they want, line pass. If we are talking about third player, it's something more difficult to understand. First of all, they have to understand, as you said, the free player, they have to understand, look each other to occupy well the space, etc. Once they have this, 12, 11 is a good moment to introduce this type of exercise of third player.
Related to this exercise, I believe we have a question about the size of the squares in this exercise. Which more or less which range of sizes would it be?
You have here in the real example, I don't know, it's like 20 meters. Never, when I'm coaching, it doesn't matter the age. Never I'm looking for the meters. I'm looking for, with this age, he can turn or not. He can receive the ball with pressure, but with the possibility to think, because if he's too small, the player cannot think. If he's too big, then there is not real. So, for example, this space for this age is perfect, but maybe for one first team, 18, maybe it's this. So a little bit bigger. Okay, it's maybe 2020, the biggest one.
Perfect. We'll wait to see if there's any other question. If not, we will conclude today's session. Thank you very much and see you next time.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.